Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So Hare Krishna, dear devotees, thank you so much for joining us today. Wanted to seek your good wishes and your blessings so that we can look at the fallacy of material life, the futility of material life. This is within the 7th canto. There's quite a lot of discussion about, especially from Prahlad Maharaj, about the futility of material life and the utility of spiritual life. So let's have a look at this. So it helps us not be so attached to material things, to material relationships, to material life. So material life is called pavarga because here we are subject to 5 different states of suffering represented by the letters pa, fa, ba, bha, and ma. So I think in one of the chapters, we came across this, and all of those 5 letters mean something. Pa means parisham, very hard labor.
It's pa, fa.
Ma. Yeah. So fa means fena, foaming from the mouth due to labor. And the example given was that of a donkey who works very, very hard, foaming at the mouth. But all the donkey's got in front of him is a stick, a carrot. So the carrot, he's inspired by the carrot, but the carrot is always going to be just 6 inches away from him. But he's trying to get that carrot. So it's a little bit like us. We're thinking that, we just need this one thing more to make our lives very happy. But that one thing is always 6 inches too far. And when we get it, it's not enough. And we're foaming at the mouth due to labor, working hard, like the donkey working hard. Ba means tata, disappointment in spite of so much hard labor. So we work hard, but yet never quite happy. Always disappointed. Bhaya, fear. And in this world of fear, we don't know what's going to happen next, right? We're always fearful. Will we lose what we've got? Will we lose what we got? And ma means mrityu, which is death. So death is always lingering. At any moment, death can come. And this is one of the biggest issues in material life, that no matter how happy or how much we may have materially, it'll all be lost at some point, at the time of death. So by practicing Krishna Bhakti, one can give up this pavarga and attain apavarga, which is liberation. So the following lists various verses on the fallacy of material life and how to overcome materialism. So what is the root of this materialism? Forgetfulness. That leads to misery. The conditioned, so when it says conditioned, we are conditioned to living in this material world. The opposite of that is liberated. So the liberated soul, he is free from this world, whereas the conditioned soul is attached to this world. It's conditioned to live in this world. The conditioned soul forgets his self-interest, his eternal relationship with Krishna. So we've forgotten our relationship with Krishna because we've identified with this body due to bodily identification. And we're attracted by the different things in the material world. And that's why we suffer. And The reason we are suffering is we are trying to find happiness in something that is very temporary, thinking that this temporary thing will help us find happiness. But because our nature is eternal, the spirit soul, therefore its happiness is not found in temporary material things, but in his relationship with the Supreme Lord, which is eternal, which is never lost. So we're looking for it in the wrong place. So it's due to forgetfulness. We've forgotten our real interest. And the Lord's Maya. The Lord has created the material conception of life that distinguishes people as friends and enemies. Why has he done this? So that it fulfills our desires. We want it to be away from the Lord, and he's created a world where we can effectively try to control, lord it over. Because at one point we were thinking, wonder what it's like to be the Lord. So the Lord has fulfilled that desire by creating this Maya, where Prahlad Maharaj was very hot on this, that he was always telling his father, you're treating people as friends and enemies, but they're not. So we're all spirit souls, and we're all related with the Lord, Supreme Lord. So if there's any questions, please do ask at any time. Sometimes it does get a little confusing. Why would the Lord create this Maya? Because Maya is not good. But he creates it in order, he's created this world perfectly imperfect. No matter how hard we try, we'll never find happiness. And the reason he's done that is that he wants us back in his world. So if we were always comfortable in this world, we would be away from him. But because he wants us back in his world, he makes this world perfectly imperfect. No matter how hard we try, we'll never get happiness in this world. That might sound a little bit depressing, but it's not. It's just reality. And one should not be depressed, because there is an eternal happiness which we can have access to. That's all the Lord is trying to do. He's trying to make us understand that this place is not for us. It's not a good option. It's like a blind well. This soul-degrading materialistic household life is like a blind well. Soul-degrading materialistic household life. It's a pretty heavy mouthful. And unfortunately, household life can be very attaching for us. It's full of anxieties, with mind is always absorbed in I and mine conception. It's always about me, what I want, what my family wants. Perhaps goes further, what my society wants, what my country wants. One should come out of it by taking shelter of Lord Hari. This is Prahlad Maharaj. He's giving these instructions. I think this might be to the school children. So this blind well we're in, it's full of anxieties, mind absorbed in I and mind. It's good to know. It's good to know that we are in this, so that we can try to adjust ourselves by becoming more and more God conscious, Krishna conscious. And then Prahlad Maharaj gave an analysis, calculated analysis. This 100 years of human life, if we are even going to make that go that far, 50 years are wasted sleeping. So at the moment, we may not be sleeping so much, maybe not 12 hours a day, but when we were little babies, we would have been sleeping long. And then when old age sets in, you might be sleeping a lot longer. So on average, about 12 hours a day would be lost in sleep. 20 years is lost in childhood, or playing, or studying maybe. 20 years are lost in old age. When old age comes, what can we do? That's why it's recommended, do as much as you can now. Because when old age comes, disease comes with it. Guru Maharaj used to often say, this old age is a curse. So And then the remaining years, we are completely entangled in family attachments. So our lives can be very quickly finished and not accomplish anything what we're supposed to achieve. And what are we supposed to achieve is self-realization. That is the purpose of human life, not sense enjoyment. The strength of material attachment. Who can give up the desire for money, which is dearer than one's life? What is that saying? Money is better than honey. So everybody's after. If we got money, we think we are going to be very happy. And there may be some comfort, some sort of material comfort. But as we know, we will leave this body and we will leave everything connected to the body, including money, behind. And then where will we go next? Who knows? Prince Philip has just passed away at the age of 99. Where is he gone now? He was in a very, very comfortable royal position. But now where is he? Does anybody know? Who knows? Nobody knows. It's all gone. It's all left behind. Nothing's taken away with him, apart from his karma and his desires, etc. Thieves, servants, merchants try to get money, even by risking their lives. Insubstantial. So this is another fallacy of material life. Happiness and blessings in this world are as insubstantial as a mirage in a desert. So I haven't had this experience. Maybe some people have, where one is stuck in a place where it's very, very hot and there's no water. We start seeing these mirages of the oasis. There's some just over that hill. There's an oasis. But when you get to that place, there's absolutely nothing. So it's a bit like where we are now. We're thinking we get happiness and blessings in this world and we'll be happy. But they're just mirages. Even when we get the things we want that we think will make us happy, it's just not enough. Just not enough. New phone, within a few days, we'll be thinking, oh, my neighbor's got a better phone. New car, same thing. We're thinking, we see another car better than ours and we think, oh. So be happy in what we have. Be satisfied with what we have. And try to cultivate higher realizations of our relationship with God. It's not that we stop doing any material activities, because we're living in this world. So we're bound by our duties and whatever we have to do to keep body and mind together. But it's the minimum that we have to do. Let's not strive for things which are very difficult to obtain and waste our life completely. Ignorance. Even the learned are overcome by ignorance, absorbed in family life affairs, incapable of understanding oneself. One may be very, very clever, distinguished professors, but unfortunately, the way material life is geared, one can become so heavily absorbed in family life. Not that it's not propagated that we neglect our family members. It's said you almost like nobody would know that this person is actually not even attached to the family. He would be so, or she would be so busily engaged, but yet inside, be always understanding that this is just a temporary thing. So in that way, one remains steady, whether something happens which one doesn't like, or something happens which one likes. One is steady in both. Insignificant. This is the problem with material happiness. Material happiness of household life and sex life is insignificant. It lasts a few moments and then that's finished. Cause of concern. Great devotees like Prahlad Maharaj are very concerned about the suffering of conditioned souls. Well, immediately the first prayer he had to Lord Nrsimhadev was, let everybody become free from this material world, this material way of life. was very concerned about everybody, all conditioned souls in this world. So what are the qualities? The qualities, of materialists. They're ignorant, ambitious, they're misled, entangled. So even one may be a very powerful materialist, but if one doesn't realize that one is not this body and one is spirit soul, then ignorance is very strong. Ambitious to become more wealthy. There was one in South American billionaire who was asked, when are you going to stop making money? You're so old now. He said, just 1 more billion, that's all. It's that carrot and this in front of the donkey. Misled, no understanding who one is and what is the purpose of life, and therefore entangled, attached to material life. All based on a faulty assumption. So there are remedies, but they are troublesome. The remedies to mature dualities of friendship and enemies and hot and cold, etc. The remedies are more miserable than the miseries themselves. And I suppose we have that example as well, that when one is ill, one takes medicines, and more than likely the medicines themselves will have side effects which can be worse than the original disease itself. And example is cancer, I suppose, that one has to go through chemotherapy or radiotherapy. I remember my uncle, he had cancer in the brain, and he went through so much difficulties through these different health treatments. Illusory happiness. Man and woman unite for sex pleasure, but they actually do not become happy. Material sense enjoyment is simply imagination. Spiritual happiness is a real happiness, and it can be achieved only when one stops all materialistic activities. And these materialistic activities, how do we stop them? It's generally within the mind that we realize that no matter how hard I'm going to try with my materialistic activities, I know I'm not going to be happy. So the inside, from the inside, one is always focused on the real happiness, trying to understand who we are, trying to understand who the Supreme Lord is, and what is our connection with the Supreme Lord. What is our connection with other souls? These are important matters to discuss, to understand. Insatiable family attachments with wife, children, parents, daughter, furniture, etc., etc. The attachment is just unending, right? And we know from our own lives how we can get so drawn in different family commitments, and it's so difficult to disentangle ourselves. If we disentangle, we'll get all sorts of criticism. Oh, this person didn't come for my wedding, and suddenly you're on the blacklist. And unfortunately, all of that, it just adds to the complications in this world. So what do? Do we become completely just go and live, might as well just go and live in the forest? No, I don't think that's what is explained in the scriptures. You have to live in whatever situation we have. To go to the forest, some people may be able to, but most people cannot, because not that way inclined. But one can live in one's homes, etc., but yet be not attached. Try not to be attached. And that attachment can only be destroyed by 2 or 3 different things. One is reading the Bhagavad Gita. That helps. That's a sword of knowledge, which can destroy any attachment. Chanting the holy names of the Lord. That is a very powerful weapon against attachment. And associating with devotees, because devotees, they already have that understanding that we shouldn't be so attached to this world or anything in this world. So those 3 things generally will be a very good cure. for attachments. The analogy is just as a deer cannot see the water within a covered well, but runs after a mirage. The conditioned soul does not see happiness within oneself, but runs after it elsewhere. So our real happiness is inside. Right? The Atma can be self-satisfied. How? When it is connected with the supreme super soul. Yeah. When we're connected with the supreme, then the Atma can be self-satisfied. Look inside, because the Lord is also inside as a super soul. But all of one's plans are ultimately baffled. So ultimately, something called death will come and destroy everything. No matter how hard we try, that's going to always be there. So the example, in spite of controlling all directions and enjoying all kinds of sense gratification, Hiranyakashipu, sorry, that's X, was dissatisfied. Right? He was dissatisfied due to uncontrolled senses. So he owned everything. He controlled everything. The demigods, simply he used to raise his eyebrows and they would run scared of him. So he was pretty powerful. But Prahlad Maharaj told his father, you are unhappy. You're always looking for happiness, but you're always going to be unhappy because your senses are not under control. Prahlad Maharaj didn't mince his words. And this is the point with devotees. Devotees don't mince their words. They say it as it is. It can be very painful. Prabhupada said it as it was, as it is. Bhagavad Gita as it is. And it can be very painful. But the truth is usually very painful. But the beauty of devotees is because they're not interested in I and mine. They're happy to give advice which really helps the soul. The attached householder inclination towards Krishna is never aroused by one's ideas or one's own instructions by one's ideas, instructions to oneself, or one's own effort, or a combination of all three of these. Due to uncontrolled senses, we are engaged, we are generally in hellish life. And repeatedly chewing the chewed. Chewing the chewed means it's like sweet sugarcane. When you chew sugarcane and you spit it out, the juice is gone. But we are so entrapped by material life that we keep chewing the sugarcane that's already been chewed. We're trying to get more and more juice out of it, rasa. But it's dry. It's dry. And we know, right? Material life is very, very dry, very boring. And same old, same old. Nothing changes, right? Like the news. It's the same news again and again and again. Just different things happening. Same things happening to different people. Chewing the chewed. So we should try to avoid chewing the chewed. What are the consequences of uncontrolled senses? The attached householder's inclination towards Krishna is never aroused. Oh, there we go. Others' instructions, one's own effort, or a combination of the two. Due to uncontrolled senses, they enter into hellish life and repeatedly chew the chewed. Frustration. A materialist, a karmi means somebody who's just doing activities which are materially inclined. He's frustrated in his attempts to attain better enjoyment. So that frustration is going to always be with us. There's no space for the Lord. The sinful material mind absorbed in lusty desires cannot think of the Supreme Lord's activities. Always busy trying to make money or trying to get the next material product, which we are thinking will make us happy. Transmigration. This is caused due to insatiable material desires. Why are we in this world? Because of desires. As soon as we stop having these material desires, our material life will finish. So these material desires, they are insatiable, unlimited material desires. We want to, this bucket list, we got huge bucket lists. And we want to do this, we want to achieve this, we want to enjoy this. And unfortunately, that is what's keeping us in this world, these material desires. Binding an attached householder with uncontrolled senses is bound strongly by ropes of affection for his family and cannot be liberated. So this is quite a hot thing, attachment to the family members. So we've got to be very careful. If we, family life means attachment, but if we're so attached to our husband, wife, children, grandchildren, parents, etc., we should know that that attachment is very temporary, and it'll only last until the body is there. Once we're out of this body, that attachment is finished. So we got to finish that attachment whilst we're in this body. That's quite cruel in one sense, but you got to be cruel to be kind. So this is quite an important aspect of Bhagavatam. It explains, describes how we have to somehow detach ourselves from our family members. It doesn't mean we become callous or neglect them. It's almost that they won't even know, but inside one is very unattached. It's embarrassment. The ever distracting senses constantly embarrass the conditioned soul, who is like a person with many wives. So these senses, the eyes, the ears, the nose, the hands, the legs, etc. It's like many wives. You're trying to please, or many husbands. You're trying to please all the different wives and husbands. Trying to please all the different senses and the sense objects. Trying to get hold of the sense objects. So they will distract us. It's Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains to Arjuna, even one of the senses can distract the mind of even somebody who is trying to control them. Senses are very powerful. So we should understand our limitations and where we are possibly going to fall prey to these senses, to try to gratify the senses and try to protect ourselves as much as we can. The easiest protection is the Maha Mantra. Just chanting, 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 begging the Lord, please help us. Without the help of the Lord, it's very difficult to overcome these senses because we're just not strong enough. So the final slide. Oh no, it's not. Go another one after that. Ultimately, everything ends in failure. Temporary. The happiness offered by riches, wife, animals, children, residence, and other luxuries is perishable in a moment. We know it. This is not new. Even in heaven, the happiness is temporary. It might be a long time, but it's still going to finish one day. It's perishable. The material body is perishable. The possessions are perishable. Relations are all perishable and sources of misery. And there's constant fear. Even a wealthy man is insecure due to being a victim of senses and out of fear of government laws, thieves, enemies, family members, animals, beggars, etc. We're always defeated because we're absorbed in family maintenance. It leads to exhaustion of lifespan. We're just cutting down our lifespan very fast. And that defeats the real purpose of human life. One's long life, opulence, and power can be vanquished within a moment. So what is the solution? So this is the beauty of the Bhagavatam. It tells you all the problems, but it also gives you the solutions. And that's what we want. We want these solutions. We want to put these into our lives. When the Lord is pleased, one's animal intelligence is destroyed, and one does not make distinctions of friends and enemies. By serving the lotus feet of the devotees, one can come out of materialistic life. This is very important. Devotees are very powerful, and we'll see in the next pastime in the Bhagavatam how Gajendra, not just Gajendra, but even the crocodile associated with Gajendra, of course in a negative mood, but he even got liberated. He was touching the lotus feet of a devotee, Gajendra. Performing bhakti, material happiness of the senses can be obtained automatically. Bhagavatam is very clear on this. Whatever is due to us, it's going to come anyway. One need not endeavor for it separately. It is better to utilize one's life to perform bhakti. So this is the absolute secret of spiritual life, human life. Bhakti. It's so easy, and yet it can be so easily missed. By keeping aloof from the association of demons and taking shelter of the Lord Narayan, one can be liberated from material bondage. Destroying material intelligence by Krishna consciousness. Polluted intelligence entangles the jiva in material life in the three modes. So there's no option but to become God conscious, Krishna conscious. By knowing the negative effects of material desires, a devotee desires not to have any material desires. So this is important. Prahlad Maharaj said to Lord Nrsingadev, no, don't tempt me. Don't tempt me with your boons. I don't want anything from you. No material things from you. So this is our desire to the Lord, prayer to the Lord. Don't tempt me with your Maya. Please keep me safe from your Maya. Keep me away from your Maya. This is a very important prayer. I want to be dedicated to you, not your Maya. An intelligent person should give up desire for prestige and money, because that's the two things that really drive people to earn, to go to work, go and do crazy things. And it's a cause of lamentation, illusion, fear, anger, attachment, poverty, unnecessary labor, etc. So as soon as we realize that actually prestige and money are not really things which will make us happy, then we'll give that up. And that will lead us to not be so lamentation, so illusioned or fearful, angry all the time, attached. And we'll find our richness within, because there's no richness in prestige and money. And we won't waste so much time. Hearing about Krishna in good association and gradually becoming detached from family affection, exactly like a man awakening from a dream. This is important. We are in this dream state. And how do we get out of it? Woken up by a devotee who explains to us the futility of material life. Cultivating satisfaction by giving up greed for material things. So that is where we are. This is the fallacy of material life. It's good to keep hearing, keep describing this, because eventually we'll get convinced. And when we get convinced of the futility of material life, our spiritual journey will take a little bit more serious path. So, Bhagavatam Ki Jai, we have completed roughly, I think about 45, nearly 50%, about 45% maybe, up to here. So first 7 cantos, another 5 cantos to go. So we'll start the 8th canto tomorrow, hopefully, and 42%. 43%, yeah. Oh, okay, yeah. Good. So yeah, about 43%. So we've done 7, 5 more to go. This 10th canto is huge, 90 chapters. Yeah, it's really amazing. That's the Krishna book. So looking forward to that. But these cantos have so much wonderful nectar of pastimes of the Supreme Lord. And these are very important pastimes because they connect us to the Lord and the kindness and the beauty of the Lord. So looking forward to the next next 100 sessions probably. I think we've done about 100 and something so far on the Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam ki jai. Thank you so much. Anybody, any questions, any comments, anything you'd like to share? Please feel free to do so. Maitri Rishi? Oh, yes. Karuna?
Yeah, I have one question.
Okay.
If all souls were in transcendental abode, so how come that we had desires?
Why did we have desires? Yeah, good question. In fact, the soul literally has only that one quality. It only possesses that one quality, to have desires. That's our makeup. That's what we're constituted of. And generally those desires in the spiritual world are all related to the Supreme Lord. So we want to serve him, we want to associate with him and his devotees. But because the Lord gives us this independent free will, he calls it free will, the soul can desire things which are other than the Lord because of this free will. And why would the soul, if he's happy, desire anything other than the Supreme Lord? Right? And in the spiritual world, how can there be anything but happiness? But this is the nature of free will. It gives you the option. And it's something which is a little hard to comprehend, because if in the spiritual world everything is perfect, why would the soul desire something else?
Exactly, Prabhuji. I can't imagine.
But this is the fallacy of the soul can be either, it's marginal energy, right? It can be either with the internal energy, or it can be with the external energy. It can flicker between the two. That's its nature. And in the spiritual world, sometimes, and this happens very rarely, and we are rare entities in one sense, because the vast majority of living entities are with Krishna in full Krishna consciousness. But because he gives us free will, in every society there is a prison house where there are prisoners. Even though society runs well, everybody's got everything, the state provides everything, even if you don't have it, yet still there is a prison house for those who are deviant. So we're a little bit like the deviant souls. Because we've got this free will, we can become deviant. And Krishna likes that in one sense. When he's engaging in pastimes with his devotees, especially in Krishna's Leela, if a devotee doesn't agree with Krishna's point of view, Krishna is really happy to submit to that devotee, like Mother Yashoda. He submitted to Mother Yashoda's chasing him with a stick. They had a difference of opinion. He was thinking, I am the supreme controller. I can eat as much butter and steal as much as I can from my mom. But yeah, he submitted to his mother's love. So he allows, if I just finish here, Indira Kamaji.
Okay.
He allows deviant behavior, right? He allows it within his devotional service. But when that deviant behavior is against the principles of bhakti, that I want to enjoy what the Lord has, then we get a problem. then that's where this material world is created. In one sense, the material world is no different from the spiritual world. It's just our conception. We're thinking it's different. But the pure devotee, he lives in the spiritual world, he lives in the material world, he sees no difference. Prahlad Maharaj saw no difference between this world and the spiritual world. That's why he was always happy. He was always fixed in his consciousness. That's the pure devotee. So in our situation, our desires, we had some desire to enjoy what the Lord has. I came in, and hence why this world is created, so that I, the purport of the I can be fulfilled. But of course, this world we know is perfectly imperfect. No matter how hard we try, we'll never, that desire to be the Lord or the controller can never be fulfilled. So that's, I don't know, Karuna, does that answer the question?
Yeah, Prabhu, I have one more question. If this free will, is it under the influence of Maya or the free modes of nature? That's why we become deviant. So we have another feeling of enjoying. Yeah,
because we're marginal energies, we can sometimes, it's like sand in the sea, you know. There's a sea, there's the beach, and then there's the in-between period where there's water and sand together. So we can be like that. We're like that, marginal energy. Sometimes we're associated directly with the Lord, sometimes we're associated with Maya. This is the potency of the free will. It can attach itself to either. And if the soul is that way inclined, it'll attach himself to the Supreme Lord because of free will. Is free will under Maya? It can be, but it doesn't have to be. If the soul is fixed in its service to the Lord, then it's not. But if it's deviant, then the free will can be influenced by Maya. Yeah. Ultimately, the soul is higher than Maya. The soul is higher than material energy. But because it's identifying with this material energy, it becomes controlled by the material energy. So, see? Yeah, originally Maya is not there, but Maya is created by the Supreme Lord to assist us, basically, to come out of this world. That's the function of Maya, ultimately. Does that make sense?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, good. Sorry, Indulika Maji?
Yes, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, everyone. So it's like we wanted to be equal to the Lord. We wanted to see how he is enjoying. We wanted to have that feeling of being the master, enjoying everything. So then he said, okay, it's just like a son who is not happy at home. Even though the parents are providing this everything, the son wants to go out. He wants to go and enjoy on himself. So once he goes out, like we come in the material world, then he realizes that I have to do all my chores by myself, cook, clean, buy, and pay my rent and everything. Then he realized that this is not my place. I want to go back to my parents' house. And the parents, they are waiting with open hands when my son will come back. So this is a position of the son. We are the sons, and the Lord is there waiting. And also the free will. I don't know if I'm right here. I was explaining, one person was asking me in my Bhagavad Gita class, so why did the Lord give us free will? What is a free will? So I said, okay, why did the Lord give you free will? And why? No, he said, why did the Lord control us? Because nothing can move without his sanction. So I said, okay, the Lord has given you the free will. Just put it in this way. You're on the road, you're in your car, there's a right way and the left way. And then like is one going up, one going down. So you have the free will here. Do you want to go on the wrong side? Or you want to go on the right side? If you go on the wrong side, immediately you will have an accident. So you better, you use your free will, and then you go to the on the right road. So then it makes sense, like, yes, this is what we should do. We have the free will. yes, we should take the right path, not the wrong path. Okay? Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you, Indula Kamaji. Anybody else? Anything else? Mithuishi, anything you'd like to add?
We need the blessing of the Guru,
Yeah.
mercy,
Yes.
association of devotees.
Correct. Yeah. Madhusudan Prabhu, anything you'd like to add?
Haribol.
Hare Krishna.
Hi, Hare Krishna. Haribol. I think, you've covered the frailties of the material world, and, we've covered the whole seventh canto, and we've done wonderful, and all of us have stayed together, right through up to seventh canto. So we've realized the instructions given in so many different ways. But Srimad Bhagavatam is just amazing, and Prabhupada expressed how strongly our goal should be the spiritual realization. Is written so many books, and one of the best books is The Science of Self-Realization. Also, where actually, the whole system. I mean, Krishna does want us to have our free will, express our free will, and at the same time, he doesn't want us to suffer and stay away from him as such. But the choices that we make, makes us come into this material world. He has to make the arrangements for this material world to fulfill all the desires of so many different living entities, and that's why there are all these different creations within the material world. But it's also temporary. It's not an illusion. At one point, the Mayavad philosophy, and I used to, before I studied Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, I used to think some people used to kind of I had this slight Mayavad kind of idea that, this is all an illusion. It's just like a dream. And but the material world is a real substance to it. There is substance to it, but it's just temporary. And time and the three gunas, material, Rajogun, Tamogun, they control. And then, like we say, we think we're independent, but really we're not. Even though we have the free will. But once you dive into the ocean, as we said, this is the ocean of material world. But like diving into the ocean, then we come under the control of the way the ocean is structured. We're gonna get wet. We're gonna be attacked by all sorts of animals, sharks, this, that. So it's nice, that we've covered all these different aspects, but we have to come to that understanding and realization, and with the guidance of Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, and then being association in this situation, we're making progress, but need to somehow stay awake most of the time, and keep practicing and keep encouraging each other. I think that's one of the main things, that we need the association and the encouragement that we are heading in the right direction now. And there's so many things to inspire. There's so many personalities, especially Prahlad Maharaj. So no, thank you very much, Navi. You covered so many different things. You've also covered the glories of bhakti as well. So all these different characteristics manifest within us. But we have to remember that, once we're here, we are under the influences of so many different things. The planetary, our astrology, this, that, when we were born, how all that works, but you shouldn't forget that, although we're not perfect, I can't claim myself to be a pure devotee at all. So still I have to continue with dealing with the material laws. And still respect every living entity, even the demigods, but rightfully in their place and have their, so have to respect and take their blessings as well, so that we move forward with our bhakti. Thank you. Thank you, Nabi. Haribol. Hare Krishna to everyone. And my hair, you need to see, I need a haircut. And I'm hopefully the barbers are open now and again. But anyway, Hare Krishna, Haribol.